Hello everyone and welcome to the Cook Along with CSIRO. My name is Marcia Sanderson and I work for CSIRO and am fortunate to be part of the Future of Meetings Organising Committee. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Kaurna people as the traditional owners of the land that I am meeting from today and pay my respect to their elders past and present. I know today has been a really busy day with the Future of Meetings, so it's time to change gears and hopefully have a little bit of fun. It's my pleasure to introduce Megan Rebuli, who is a research dietitian with CSIRO Health and Biosecurity, based at the South Australian Medical Research Institute in Adelaide. Today, Megan will be cooking a delicious recipe from the CSIRO's Low-Carb Diet Book, Quick and Easy by Grant Brinkworth and Penny Taylor. I hope you have all your ingredients ready to go and are looking forward to cooking along with Megan. So let's get cooking and over to you, Megan.
Thanks so much, Marsha. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me tonight, and thank you for joining us. I'm Megan. I'm here at SAMRI. I'm in our lovely clinic kitchen. I'm here with Gemma, who's also a dietitian. Gemma's going to do a quick intro of herself.
Hi, I'm Gemma. I am going to keep track of any comments you've got while the lovely Megan does her cooking. So please send them through. I'll fire them to Megan and she will answer them. So be interactive. Thanks.
Thanks, Gemma. Please do join in, guys. And if you can just shoot us a message, let us know if you're cooking along at home. It'd be great to get an idea of how many people are cooking or who's watching and doing this later. Just let us know because I will be taking time as I go through to make sure that everyone's keeping up. Okay, so as Marsha said, we're cooking a recipe from the CSIRO Low-Carb Quick and Easy book. This is the third book in the series of the low-carb books, and this was based off a research trial on people with diabetes here in Adelaide. It was funded by the NHMRC, the National Health and Medical Research Council Centre, which is a very competitive government funding here for health research. So we were very lucky to have that funding. And what is what we're making? The ricotta stuffed chicken with vegetable medley. So hopefully by the end, a few of us will have something that looks a lot like this on our plates at home. So we've got all of our ingredients ready. We've got our chicken, we've got the cherry tomatoes, asparagus, we've got some broad beans. I've shelled half of them in advance and I've got half that we can go through together. We've got some low-fat ricotta, a pesto. I've just used a pesto, pre-made pesto. I've got some barley just to talk about. We won't be using this, but if you've got some grain at home, you can use that too. And I've also got some lemons. I went a bit off script there because I've got so many lemons from friends' trees. The moment I thought I'm going to find a way to use these. So first things first, if you're cooking a grain, that's optional. I would get that started now. I've just brought some barley along to talk about because this is one of my favorite grains. And in my opinion, it's a little bit underused. So this is like $2-3 a bag. You can use it in any place that you would use like a rice or a pasta. I love to just cook it up and have it in salads on the side or use it as an alternative to rice in stir fry. But it's really high in fiber, it's really filling, and it has a really nice chewy, nutty flavour. So if you're looking for a different grain to mix things up, or if you're cooking this with a family and you want to bulk it out a little, barley is a really great option. So if you're doing a grain, get that ready now and going so it's good by the time we're finished. So first things first, the chicken. So the recipe did say for 150 gram chicken breasts, which are a little bit hard to come by these days. So I've got like a 600 gram pack and that just had 3 chicken breasts. So I'm going to work with that and just adjust the portion sizes after I've cooked it. So we'll chop off a little bit of the fat on the sides that you can see. And if you're cooking along at home, feel free to shoot through any questions or ask questions as we go along. Like, I'm really keen to interact with you guys. All right, so chicken breast. First of all, once we cut the fat off, we're just going to butterfly this. So I like to start on the side that kind of pokes out a bit, as opposed to, you can see, like, we've got the nice smooth fat side and then the other side that kind of pokes out a bit. That's where you cut through. So putting it flat face up, and then with a nice sharp knife, just slowly slice through there. to the end. Open it up. Ooh, made a bit of a hole. Hopefully you guys are better than me. Slice it through. So you've got a nice butterflied breast there. That one has a bit of a hole, so we might, hopefully we'll do better with the next ones. Cut little bits of extra fat off. So chicken is a really great meat to use if you're kind of trying to lose weight, or if you're following a healthy diet. Chicken breasts in particular are usually very, very lean and also super versatile. You can use this in just about any kind of recipe, and really easy to come by, like very affordable, great for the whole family. I made another hole. And just cut open the butterfly there. And the last one.
So Megan, could you use any other protein sources in this recipe?
This recipe is so versatile. You could use just about any kind of protein to go with these vegetables. And you could turn this recipe into anything that you like. So it's got really nice spring flavors, and that's why we're working with this one tonight. Going into spring, things are starting to look very optimistic. So we've got the very fresh flavors of the tomato and the asparagus, and chicken pairs with those really nicely because they're really soft, gentle flavors, and chicken's quite an easy flavor to work with as well. All right. This one's
Perfect.
a little better.
Lovely, Megan.
Thank you. So once we've got our nice butterflies, nice-ish butterflies, we're just going to get a bit of Glad wrap and cover the chicken breast so that you can flatten it out a little bit. So you want to put a bit of Glad wrap or baking paper or whatever you've got at home, just to save it from sort of splattering around too much. So I've got a meat hammer. This is a bit loud. You just want to whack it down so that it's a fairly even thickness all the way around, so that it will cook nice and evenly. Give that a good hit. This is fun if you're a bit sick of being at home, got a bit of frustration around the house. Take it out on your chicken. All right. I'm just going to wash my hands quickly. Whenever you're working with chicken, I'm sure you guys know, really important to be careful of any cross-contamination with your other ingredients, with your cooking utensils, and of course your hands as well. So give those a really good clean. If we're doing it properly, we can sing happy birthday. It takes about 30 seconds, go under the nails. Make sure you've got all that chicken off your fingers and just being careful not to splash too much as well. All right, so we've got our lovely butterfly breasts here. We're just going to pepper those. So sprinkle a bit of pepper around, just to taste, however much you like. And I'm just going to get the pan heating up a little. This pan's quite new to me, or this stovetop's quite new to me, so I really hope we work well tonight together. You just want that on like a low to medium heat, because we've got quite a big piece of chicken breast here. We want to cook through it evenly without it getting too brown on the outside. So low medium heat, I've got this on like a middle sort of temperature. That will just start warming up. And then we're going to take our two fillings. So we've got some low-fat ricotta and some basil pesto. So this low-fat ricotta, like, it's a really, again, like a nice gentle flavor, really good for spring. Sort of blends in with everything nicely. And of course, being a dairy food, adds some calcium as well, which is really important for everyone. So with your ricotta, like, just sort of spread it in the middle. You don't want to go too close to the edges because it will melt and sort of spill out as you start cooking. So I just spread it around the middle, like across both sides on both of the chicken. Move that around. Any questions yet, Jem?
Do you know what, Megan? We just got our very
Oh, did
first
we?
question.
Okay, yes.
I want to get a time when you are not too busy. So is this okay to ask?
Yeah, yeah, now it's good.
So this is a real tricky one to get us started.
Okay.
So I love it.
Cool.
It's so why isn't there a CSIRO high protein vegetarian diet for us vegos and those wanting to reduce CO2 emissions related to meat production?
Oh, excellent question.
Love it.
All of our books do have a lot of veggie options in them. So we've got the low carb books all have sections on vegetarian diets, and we actually have a CSIRO protein book that's one of our more recent books, and that has a big section on vegetarian recipes as well. So there are definitely vegetarian options within everything that we have put together. Good question why we don't have a vegetarian, pure vegetarian book. Maybe that will be something in the future. We're actually doing a lot of research at the moment into sustainable diets. And that's sustainable as in sustainable for humans to follow and also sustainable to keep our planet healthy. So a few angles there. So yeah, maybe in the future there will be something like that.
Yeah, and when there's interest from our own staff and elsewhere, then it's even more important. So
Yeah.
I love that question, and I think while there's not a vegetarian diet per se, there's certainly, as Megan said, a lot of options. So
Heaps of options.
yeah, keep them coming.
Yeah, keep them coming. Okay, so I've also put the basil pesto on top. So if you wanted, you could make your own basil pesto. Basil's a little bit expensive this time of year, but particularly towards the end of summer, a lot of our gardens are absolutely overflowing with basil. So that's a really good time to harvest your basil, mix in with a bit of oil and some pine nuts, and make big batches of pesto that you can freeze. But today this is just from the store. So you're going to spread that on top, kind of spread it around, and then we're going to fold those chicken breasts back over. So they close up nicely. Well, this one with the hole is not closing up very nicely, but the other one did. And grab a few toothpicks, and we're just going to seal it shut with the toothpick. So I found the best way with these is to kind of try and thread it through like you're sewing. If that sounds too complicated, just sort of like jab it sort of through the edges. So I'm just going to feed it from the bottom. Not sure if you can see that, and then down again. So kind of like weaving it through, and use that to seal up any little holes at the same time, just to keep all that delicious ricotta and pesto inside the chicken. Depending on the size of the chicken breast, like 3 or 4 of these will do. I'm just going to try to close up all of the edges around there. So we'd love to hear from you if you've tried any of the CSIRO books, or if you have purchased any of our books, any of the Total Wellbeing Diet or the Low Carb Diet, or any of the other books that we have available. It'd be great to get some feedback and hear what you guys have thought about the different books and different recipes that we have available to try. So this is not super warm because it's not on. Oh, I think I've got it now. Okay, now it's I can hear it.
That's working.
Yeah. All right.
Won't take long to heat up either.
It heats up really quickly.
Yeah. Great.
I'm used to working with gas, which is so like obvious. I'm on, and this is how big the flame is. But I'm just getting used to induction. It's so good once you get the hang of it. I know that, but just got to get there. All right. How are you going at home? Are you guys following along? Are you cooking away? All right. What do you think your family would think of this, Jen? So Jen's got a few kids. Well, your boys.
I'm thinking my kids would be blown away by the look of that. I think it's so fancy. They would think, what's going on?
They'd be like, Mum, let's have this every night.
But I think it looks really, really good.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, Megan, if you could tell us about this. There's a little bit of a competition, I believe.
Yes, thank you for the reminder. So for everyone cooking along at home, or anyone who's planning on cooking this later, we're actually running a competition where you cook your recipe, upload your photos, and you'll go into the random draw to win one of our new cookbooks. So Grant and Penny, the writers of the book that we're working from tonight, have released a diabetes plan, a diet, exercise, and lifestyle book, I think it is. So anyone who's cooking tonight goes in the draw to randomly win one of those books, and they are great. Like, it's quite a thick book, so I haven't looked inside, but it must have a lot of recipes in there because it looks full of information. Okay, so we've got 2 chicken breasts in. I'm just gonna wash my hands again.
While you're spending time washing your hands, it's always time consuming.
Yeah.
We have another question.
Oh, great.
What do you recommend as a chicken substitute in this recipe? I was thinking it's a little bit tricky because you do need to butterfly to cover them over.
Yeah.
Turkey?
Turkey breasts are quite big, and they're a bit hard to find, aren't they?
Yeah, but they
They would work. They exist. I think you could use anything in the shape of this, but if you didn't want to use chicken, is that because you're looking for anything other than chicken or a vegetarian alternative? So you wouldn't have to do it as a butterfly. You could easily use these combination of flavors with some lamb. Like, you could take some lamb chops and you could make something like the vegetable medley that we're going to make with the lamb, and you could use the pesto as a little bit of a dressing. You could cook this with even tofu, like you could do as a marinade and then cook the tofu using, again, the similar sorts of flavors. I think it might be like, I don't know if you could do a beef kind of roll. Maybe. Have like a really thin slice of beef. Like, if you really flattened it, you could layer the flavors and then wrap them up. That might work with lamb or beef.
Yeah.
We do have another friend here tonight, another CSIRO colleague. Do you have any ideas, Brad? What would you like to see this with if you weren't using chicken? Pork fillet? Yeah, you could actually. That would also work. Yeah. Heaps of options. If you were looking for a vegetarian dish, you could... Basil pesto is really nice with chickpeas, so you could kind of just cook up the chickpeas and the basil as a separate thing, and then have the vegetable medley with that. So yeah, plenty of different ways to do it.
And Megan,
yes.
I love this. We're getting a few comments through.
Okay.
And so one of them is, my mum did the 12-week CSIRO wellbeing diet and lost 7 kilos.
Wow, that's amazing.
I love that.
That's incredible.
And that is the kind of, we actually do hear that a bit, that sort of that amount of weight loss. So that's fantastic that that's been the case.
And we love hearing those success stories as well. So great.
And another comment, I've got the 2 wellbeing diet books. I use the recipes occasionally. They're great.
Amazing.
And that's a really, really important thing with the books, is that you don't have to do the actual diet program. You can. I use them as recipe books personally. Yeah. So they just have. I actually really, the recipes are really simple and easy to use. So.
And you know that you're always getting a really healthy dish when you cook with these recipes. Like, they're going to have really nice lean cuts of meat, they're going to have heaps of veggies, and it's going to really well balance for the other types of, the other food groups too. Okay, so the chicken is sizzling away nicely, and I'm just going to cook the broad beans. So I use broad beans. I just bought like the frozen broad beans that are pre-shelled. So they come just like this, like little individual beans, but they still have the skin on them. So you just need to cook them, and then we'll take the skin off. You can do this either in the microwave for a few minutes, there's instructions on the packet, or you can do them in the stove like this. Like, personally, I think they sometimes come out a bit mushy in the microwave, so I like to do them on the stove, but either way works fine. If you've got too many pots and pans on the go already, you can put them in a bowl, 2 or 3 minutes, and then they're ready to be shelled. So that's just going to cook away. Now's a good time to check on your grains. If you've got some rice or pasta going and it's not kind of doing its own thing in a rice cooker, just have a look at that, make sure it's still happy. And then I want to talk about this vegetable medley. So this is really simple. It's only 3 ingredients: cherry tomatoes, asparagus, and then the broad beans will go in there afterwards. So with the cherry tomatoes, we're just going to leave them whole. I've got about 400 grams here. You can buy like 2 punnets worth, and that will be the right amount. And with the asparagus, we're just going to break the ends off, so not even any cutting involved. With this, that was sooner than I expected it to snap. With asparagus, you don't actually need to cut it. It kind of grows out of the ground like a tree. I don't know if you've seen asparagus growing. It's really cool. It's got this extensive underground root system, and every year little asparagus spears just pop up from the ground. So they're almost a bit woody. You can cut them if you want to, but I find it's easier to just sort of bend it, and that point where the fresh stalk kind of finishes and the woody stalk starts is where it will just naturally snap. So that way, you're just making sure that you won't have to eat too many woody bits of asparagus. You kind of get that grainy flavour. And then, like, this will all go into compost later. So I know it looks like a lot of asparagus isn't getting eaten, but if you put it on your kid's plate, I think it would end up coming out again anyway. All right, so we're just going to snap those, and we're going to cook them like this. They're going into this pan in a minute, so they're plenty big enough. You can cut them in half if you want to, if you would prefer smaller pieces, but we're going to go for the presentation tonight and have them as big spears. When you're buying asparagus at the shops, they're coming into season now, being spring, so it will be quite easy to find nice fresh asparagus and at quite a good price too. But you just want to check to make sure that the ends here are still quite firm and closed and not sort of opening up or not too mushy. That's when they're a little bit past it. So look for nice firm stalks that are like quite full and firm tips. Similar with tomatoes, these are more of a summer fruit, but they're grown like all year round, so they're very easy to find. So that's ready to go in the pan. This is sizzling away nicely. I can hear it getting started, and you can see already some of the ricotta is starting to spill out as it does, but that's why we didn't pack up too much. Still really wet underneath, so that's fine. I'll just let that go for a little while longer. And these beans have been in here for a couple of minutes already, so I think they'll be fine to come out now. We'll start shelling those. They don't need long. They were a little bit defrosted already, so they just need a little bit of time to soften up. If anyone has a quick tip for getting the skin off of broad beans, I would love to hear it. So feel free to write in if you've got a little broad bean hack. They're a little bit underused because they do take a bit of time and now a little bit of extra work involved in getting the skins off, but I think they're worth it. And if you have kids at home, that's a really great opportunity to get the kids in the kitchen helping you, or whoever the other lucky person is that's enjoying this dish with you. So I'll just take these off, going to drain them, and then we're going to just run them under cold water so that they cool off a bit. Some people suggest putting them in ice water. That will hold them down a lot faster, but this works okay as well. If you've got little kids helping you, then you want to make sure they're really cold, but these are fine for me. So just give those a drain. Any other questions? How's everyone going at home? If you are cooking along at home, let us know how you're going. How's progress in your household? And who are you cooking for? We'd love to hear who you're sharing this with tonight. So to shell these broad beans, you just get each little individual broad bean. You're just going to kind of rip the white skin off a little bit, and then the broad bean will just pop right out into your bowl. So put the skin into the compost and start skinning away. All right. So has anyone ever tried to start a new healthy diet and found that it had some challenges that they didn't know how to work around, or has anyone embarked on any lifestyle changes recently? I know COVID has been a bit of a hard time for a lot of us at home. Some of us have started on new diet and lifestyle patterns. Some of us have started new eating and exercise regimes. I think probably more of us have gone in the other direction. We're really lucky here in Adelaide that we can start coming into the office again and seeing each other. So we're getting some of that connection that we've been missing out on, but we do feel for our colleagues over in Melbourne who are still in lockdown, but the weather's getting nicer, so hopefully that's going to be good for things. All right, so there's a few beans to get through here. The recipe had 500 grams, which is an entire packet of broad beans. So these guys are also known as fava beans. They actually grow on a little vine like snow peas or like tomatoes even, and you can eat them in their whole form as whole peas when they're quite fresh and when they're just a young vegetable. But as they get a bit bigger, the outside gets a bit tougher, like these skins are quite tough to eat through. I mean, you can eat them, they're just nicer if you take the skin off. So these are good to work with, really high in fibre and a whole range of other vitamins and minerals. And that's why we've included them in the book, because we are using these as almost a bit of an alternative to grains. Grains are a really great source of different types of fibre. And that's what we need for good gut health, that diversity of fibre. And being the low-carb book, it's lower in breads and cereals and grain-type foods. They're an optional extra, but the base recipes include other fruits and vegetables to get that fibre variety in there instead. All right, so look at this chicken.
Yeah, while you're taking a moment to check the chicken, we've got another question.
Oh, great.
Can this meal be frozen? I'm cooking for one and often end up making enough for 3 or 4 meals.
Yeah.
And don't want to eat the same thing every night.
I absolutely feel you there. Yes, it could be frozen, but I would actually say it's a really easy recipe to scale up or down. And it might be better to just buy one chicken breast and less asparagus, less tomato, the broad beans go in the freezer, and just prepare enough for 1 or 2 meals. It does reheat quite nicely. If you wanted to have it 2 nights in a row, you could have half the chicken breast one night and the other half the next night and reheat the veggies. Or just make enough for 1 serve. I know it sounds easy to say just make enough for 1 serve, but this is actually a truly simple recipe to only make enough for 1 person. You would need half a punnet of tomatoes, half a bunch of asparagus, just the 1 chicken breast, a small breast if you can buy it individually, or you could buy the chicken in bulk and then freeze the rest of it. Ricotta and pesto, which do keep in the fridge for quite a while, and other very versatile ingredients. And you could just make up enough for that 1 serve if you wanted to.
Megan, I was wondering if other types of veggies you could use for the side here?
Yeah, you could use anything. We're going to kind of stir fry these veggies. So you could use broccolini, that's also low carb. There's some other low carb vegetables off the top of my head. You could use green beans, you could use snow peas, you could use capsicum, it's a little bit higher in carbohydrate, but still a really great crunchy flavour. You could do anything. It's a good starting point to include some different types of combinations into your diet. I wouldn't have thought of stir frying asparagus and tomato together, but it's actually a really beautiful combination.
And that smell, Megan, so nice.
It's the basil pesto, I think.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's got that garlicky goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's smelling really good.
So these are looking cooked about halfway through. You can see that, I don't know if you can see, but the chicken's white about halfway through. Whenever you're cooking any kind of meat, I like to just turn it once. So you want to have it sitting on a low heat so it doesn't burn or go too brown, and then keep it on one side until it's halfway through, and then flip it the other way. You would want a similar thing with if you're cooking on a barbecue, if you're cooking steaks, anytime you're cooking a big piece of meat, just aim to flip it that one time. And particularly with something like this, it's a little bit delicate. There's some of the ingredients are leaking out a little bit, so the less we move it around, the less we'll disrupt it, which I think will be really good. So I think I will flip this. I'm going to use two utensils, just to be a bit extra, but flip that over, and it's really nice, lovely golden colour on the top, which is what we want, and the other one Yeah, it's a big one there. Okay, cool. So we flip those. If you're cooking along at home, see how your chicken's going. If it's looking like it's not quite cooked halfway yet, maybe leave it a little bit longer. If it's looking ready to flip, give it a flip, and we'll let that sit for a bit. Back to the beans. Plenty of time to shell these. Any other questions coming through?
At this point,
Brad, do you have any questions from over there?
When's it ready?
When's it ready?
smelling so good. We can't wait.
Oh, good. I'm glad it smells good. I cooked this for a friend on the weekend to do a little trial because I hadn't tried this recipe before. And yeah, I agree, it's delicious. But I have had leftovers because I cooked a few chicken breasts just to give it a bit of practice. And it is really nice. You don't have to have this meal the same way every time. You can have it a bit differently. So I had some leftover chicken, but I'd eaten all the vegetables. So I just used the chicken in a salad, just kind of cut it up into little slices and put that in the salad. You could put it into wraps. You could put it into sandwiches. You could do just about anything that you would normally do with chicken. You can do with this chicken. You don't have to just be limited by the exact instructions. Okay. So, how has everyone been finding the conference today? What's been the favourite presentation so far? What's everyone learned about meetings? Feel free to just message us your thoughts, or even your thoughts about cooking demos. Is this something that you watch a lot of? Are you a big MasterChef fan? Are you a Jamie Oliver fan? There's a lot of different cooking demos, or a lot of people doing cooking demos on social media platforms these days. There's so many options out there. We are nearly through these beans. Maybe this could be the future of dining. We might all be cooking along at home. Did you see during a few months ago now, Hamish, the comedian of Hamish and Andy, did a cook along on Instagram?
Baking a cake? The cake decorating?
Oh,
He does that.
he does the cake decorating.
That's really entertaining.
Very entertaining. He did a cook along with, so Hamish isn't a chef, he's a comedian, and he did a cook along with a chef who owns and manages a really nice restaurant in Melbourne. And they did a really big, it was like a date night dinner. They cooked a dessert and a main meal. And yeah, we had the chef on one view, we had Andy on the other view. So yeah, amazing learning from the chef, and then some really good humour with Andy as well. So you can imagine. All right, I'm just going to turn this up a little bit to speed things up. Get things cooking.
How's it cooking there, Megan?
It's good. It's good. It's a little bit pink on the bottom.
Don't want that.
But we're not losing too much ricotta.
That's good. The hole didn't matter.
I hope not. I think maybe it leaked out a little bit and then kind of set being cheese.
Oh, yeah.
I think it sort of it's back together. It will be tasty. I was surprised that ricotta melted. Like, I know it's a cheese, but I've had ricotta on top of a lasagna and it didn't melt. It kind of kept its sort of ricotta firmness, but this is almost like cheddar. Like, it kind of goes really melty and the oil separates out a bit. So yeah, very interesting. So I'm using a non-stick pan, by the way. I should have said that earlier for anyone who's cooking without a non-stick pan. You would have wanted to add a little bit of oil in. I'm sure you guys figure that out anyway. But being a non-stick pan, we don't need to add any oil, which is good. It will just sort of do its own thing. And there's a fair bit of oil coming out from the pesto anyway. Right.
Need to tidy up there, Megan.
Anything
It's all under control.
We've got our slight fail chicken here, which we might chop up later and use for something else, but the butterfly didn't butterfly the way I wanted it to. So it's more like a slice of chicken and then mostly just the whole breast. But we can come back to that. It won't go to waste. We've got our raw chicken stuff over to the side. As I said, it's really important to separate those things. Let's cut this lemon in half. I'm going to use. Has anyone else just got truckloads of lemons at the moment? I feel like everyone in Adelaide has a tree except me, but that's okay because I've got. I think you gave me some lemons.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to use these in the stir frying, but we'll get to that. This is sizzling away nicely now. I think we're making some progress.
Is that one of mine?
This is one of yours.
Oh,
Yeah. So fresh, and there's not many seeds.
No. That's what I noticed.
Yeah. Really cool. All right. So we're going to start on our veggie medley. So I'll just get this pan heating. Now, you don't have to use 2 pans. I've got 2 because I wanted to have them both going at the same time. But if you used a big enough pan for the chicken, you could easily do the chicken, take it out, and then just do the vegetables in there. That would also work. So because this is more of a stir fry, we want that to be on a pretty high heat. We're just going to cook it really quickly. So we'll let that warm up a little bit. It's going to get nice and warm. And as I said, we're not cutting these tomatoes. So you could if you wanted to cut the tomatoes, but by keeping them whole, keeping the skin, it seals in all the flavour and all the juices. So when you eat it, it's so much juicier and it's a really lovely flavour, and it goes really nicely with the asparagus, which is kind of a nice, like watery, crispy, very juicy but gentle flavour as well. So they pair beautifully together. That's almost hot enough. Okay, so that's looking nice and warm. So I'm just going to put in the tomatoes. And, yeah, we'll do them all. And the asparagus and the broad beans. All in there. So the recipe actually says to cook these with a little bit of water. Again, if you're using a non-stick pan, put a little bit of oil in, but you don't need too much. Let that heat up a little bit, and then you can add some water just to create a bit more steam, and that will help with the cooking. But I'm going to use lemon juice instead to get that flavour in there. So I turn this up, and now I can see it's really sizzling away on the outside, but not the inside. So I'll just turn this back down. Okay, give that a minute to get warm. Any questions, guys? Send them through. I would love to hear from you. Or how's your progress at home? What do you think of the recipe so far? Do you think that you'll give this a go later? Are you really hungry? Are you eating something else while you're watching? These guys here are really hungry. So I was very lucky tonight to have 2 people helping me in the clinic, and in return they are, of course, eating the dinner. So they are eagerly awaiting. All right. This isn't getting very hot. It's definitely on though. Oh yeah, I see some steam. Okay. So I'll just put in a little bit of water. No, it's not that steamy. When you put the water in, you really want to see a big hit of steam. So we need that to be a bit hotter. Maybe I'll turn that up. I've got it on 8, but I'll put it on 9. Any questions?
No more questions. We need more questions.
Yeah, we do need more questions. All right, so now that's steaming a little bit, I'm just going to put in this lemon juice. And this, yeah, so you can hear that sizzle, which is what you want when you put in a little bit of liquid. Get that in there to add flavour and also to get some moisture and some steam. And then just give it a bit of a stir.
That's it.
As I said, I had to put this to my friend, and she came over with her little 1-year-old. And I was taking too long to cook, I think, because he was starting to get a bit tired, he was getting a bit ratty, and we were doing this, and she was watching, and we were flipping this, and he was so excited by the colours. He was like, wow, look at all those colours flying through the air. So we were like, well, let's make a little bit of a game. Let's see how high we can toss it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, pretty high. On the floor. Yeah. But I love this pan. It's got like the perfect edge for it. Yep, got a few casualties, as you can see. Just get them back in there. But great way to mix everything through. Oh, actually, I forgot when you lift off of induction, it stops heating. Forgot that. But that's okay. It's heating now. It's heating now. Yeah. What do you think, Brad? Would you cook this at home? Yeah? Give it a go? I guess the taste will be the judge, won't it? So this is looking pretty close to ready. This is a little bit slower. Have you guys seen any of the CSIRO books in store? Have you seen them and thought, maybe I'll get one, maybe not, maybe I'll wait for the competition? I can't wait to see the photos that you guys post. I'm really excited to see how you go at home with this. Alrighty. And if you've got a grain going, again, just a reminder to see how that's going. Check on that one. All right, so a comment that we get a lot is that we have so many different books and have different recipes, and how do we know which one to choose? Is it, why are they different? So that is right. We have a lot of different recipe books that we've developed based on a lot of different diets. So we have the Total Wellbeing Diet, which was one of our very first cookbooks developed, I would say in the early 2000s. Yeah, early 2000s, 2005. And that is designed to help with weight loss. And we've got a lot of books based on that as well. We've got budget books for the Total Wellbeing Diet. We've got this one here, which is like the complete collection. Then of course there's the original with a few different recipes as well. Again, really good diet if you're trying to lose a bit of weight. Then we also have the low-carb diet series that we're following today. And that was proven in the clinical trial that we spoke about earlier to help with weight loss, with diabetes management, reduction of diabetes medications, and also really helpful for blood glucose control. So if your goals are to try to manage your diabetes or to lose some weight, or to just eat healthily, like that's another really good book to choose. And then more recently, we have come out with the Protein Plus book and the Healthy Gut Diet. So these two are based on a lot of research that has been done looking into these specific areas. The Healthy Gut Diet, that was done based on, inspired by some of CSIRO's research into gut health and resistant starch. So the focus of the Healthy Gut Diet book is really on increasing the fiber in your diet, choosing foods high in resistant starch, and improving your gut health while maintaining a healthy weight. So that's got heaps of recipes with legumes, barley that we spoke about before, and lots of veggies as well. Well, they all have lots of veggies. And then there's the Protein Plus book, and that one focuses on having protein all throughout the day. So what we know about Australians' diet is that we have lots of grains and cereals type foods for breakfast. We have similar things for lunch, maybe a little bit of a veggie. We kind of snack on fruit. We snack on discretionary foods, dietitians call them, or junk foods, things like chocolate and biscuits. And then at dinner time, we have meat and veg. So you can see it's like kind of weighted towards the end of the day. So the aim of the protein book was to spread protein throughout the day to help with weight management. And it's also a good resource for the aging population because protein is really important in maintaining muscle strength. And muscle strength is important because that helps maintain your mobility and prevents falls and keeps you active and all those kinds of things that we all want into aging. So hopefully that breaks down the different types of recipes for you a little bit. Okay, so this is looking very ready. I can see that some of the tomato skin is starting to peel off, so I'm going to turn that off.
Megan, we have
Yes.
a question
Oh,
to
yes.
ask. How do you know when the chicken, well, I think it says, what's the best way to tell it's cooked? I'm assuming that's
Yes.
the chicken.
That's the chicken. Okay, well, if it's the chicken, then first check is to see the edges. So I can see on the edges now, they're quite white, and before they were still completely pink. Okay. Try to get the camera on there. So actually you can see this one, which is particularly thick at the top here. along the edge, it's still, you can see a bit of pinkness coming through. So whereas the top, where it's been touching the heat, is really nice and golden, the sides are a bit white, and they will cook through eventually, which is why we were using that low heat to slowly cook through. But the edge here, where it's a bit thicker, is still quite pink, and you can see that raw looking flesh coming through. This one is, oh, it's getting very golden on the bottom, so I'll flip that over. This one's looking a bit more cooked. This breast is a bit smaller, so it's cooking faster. It's browned on the edges where I've held it on the pan, and it is pretty white on the sides. So that's the first check. If the sides are looking good and white and not pink, then you can test to see if it's cooked. So first test is to sort of poke it, like that's still a little bit soft. If you can poke it and it's quite, it gives quite a lot, like the finger test. Do you know the finger test?
Oh yeah.
It's that like, yeah, where you touch your finger and then you fingers together and then you poke that fleshy bit of your thumb, that first one and then the next one. You can feel it gets firmer as you go. So by the time you touch your pinky to your thumb and then you press there, it's really firm. But on the first one, it's not as firm. So that's like a rare steak, but you don't want chicken rare. So you want it to feel harder than when you're poking on your finger there. So if you feel like the edges are looking cooked, it's quite firm to touch, then I like to just cut it and just see. So
Megan, we
yes,
just had a request to check if it's a free-range chicken that you've brought in today.
yeah, I use Lilydale chicken, and they are free-range chickens.
Great.
Yes. So it's a bit soft there. So when you're checking, I would find a really fleshy bit and then cut into it. Just be careful if you're doing this in a pan. Actually, ideally you'll put it on a chopping board, so we'll do that. Find a bit that you think will be the least cooked and just kind of slice into it gently. And this can sometimes, some people don't like doing this because it, like it's not as nice for the presentation, but I just like to make sure it's cooked. So that is still a little bit pink on the inside. So if your chicken is white and if you squeeze it and the juices are clear, then it's cooked. If the flesh still looks a little bit pink and it's still a little bit pink in the juices when you squeeze them, then it's not cooked. So that goes back in. And
Megan?
Yeah?
A question.
Yes.
Where can you get the CSIRO apron?
This I think is actually going to be one of the prizes. This is hot off the press, this apron. I was really lucky.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I was lucky to get this just for this demo. And there are a few that are being released for other prizes. And I think there will be, tonight we've got 2 books and an apron to give away, I think. So stay tuned for apron merchandise, but as yet it's not readily available. Sorry.
And would a little olive oil in the pan help with the flavour?
You could definitely add some olive oil to the pan for flavour. Yeah, I haven't, just because these are non-stick, and sometimes if you use oil on your non-stick pans, it kind of leaves a bit of a residue. So I haven't used oil, but you could use it for a bit of flavour. I think these would go nicely with olive oil for flavour, these veggies, but if you were doing a stir fry and you were using more Asian inspired flavours and you're cooking with a bit of ginger and garlic and even putting like chili or something, then I would use just like a little bit of sesame oil for the flavour from the sesame oil. And again, if you're cooking at a really, really high heat, olive oil has quite a low smoking point. So I don't tend to use it for stir frying just because it will kind of get too smoky and kind of get a bit tacky before you get it to the heat that you want it to for stir frying, because you want it to be such a high, fast cook when you stir fry something like, as I said, sesame oil or even like a vegetable oil. They have really high smoke points, so that's sort of better for that high heat cooking. Any more questions?
Not at this point.
Not at this stage. So I would love to be able to tell you guys more about how locally sourced everything was. I have to admit, I didn't check on everything. Can tell you the lemons are from Gemma's house. The chickens is Lilydale, like I said, and the asparagus and the tomatoes are just from Foodland. And I think Foodland, one of the reasons why I love shopping there is they get everything as locally as possible. This time of year, I'm not sure where tomatoes would be coming from. Most of they're grown in glass houses these days. Anyway, I was actually going to ask the fruit and veg guys, but when I was there, they were all really hectic and I didn't want to, interrupt them. So I didn't ask them. So the veggies are ready. Brad? Ready? It's okay, we're nearly there. And the chicken is still just cooking. I think this little one is close to ready. How are you going at home? Has anyone finished yet? Has anyone started eating? I'd love to know. Yeah? All right. Okay, so we're getting towards the end of our presentation. I'm going to leave this cooking for a little bit, but that's pretty much everything done. So all we need to do once it's finished is just sort out these portion sizes. As I said, these are really big chicken breasts, so we would only be eating half of this each. So the meat served that you have is about the size of the palm of your hand, or about 150 grams of raw meat. Obviously, the weight comes down when you're finished, once you've cooked it. So we'll cut that big one in half. We'll serve up the veggies. This was enough to serve 4 in this here. And if you've got grains and you're going to add grains, then have a little bit of that on the side as well. And
We've got time to plate up though.
Time to plate up? All right, cool. So let's plate up the cooked one.
I want to see the finished product.
Finished product, yeah. I want to see everyone else's finished products. All right, so let's get a plate. Get some of this on there. So we'll just get these nice, colourful veggies. And then we'll get some of the asparagus spears on there as well. So remember, these have little toothpicks in there, so you can either leave them in or take them out. I'm going to take them out because they're kind of right in the middle of where I want to cut.
And Megan, you're going to like this because some people are starting to have some great smells from their kitchen.
Fantastic! I'm so glad.
And one husband is cooking along and others are cooking for 4, so it's taking a little longer, which it really would.
It really would, it really would. So the people has anyone finished, or we're just smelling it and getting hungry at this stage? I hope the kids like it. We'd love to get some feedback from your families and from yourselves to find out what you guys think of the recipe as well. So not only what it looks like, but the reviews from the family. All right, so that is all of the toothpicks. I'm going to cut through the middle here to slice this in half. Just a little final check. That looks nice and done. I do tend to overcook chicken a little bit. That's just me, just being safe. But you can see in there, we've got that ricotta. We've got some of that basil pesto. It's nice and cooked. It's steaming. It's hot. Lovely jubbly, as Jamie Oliver would say. The Jamie Oliver fans. Put that on the plate. And that's it. That's ready to go. So that is our lovely ricotta. Out of the way. That is our ricotta, chicken and vegetable medley. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you had a great time tonight. I hope you've learned a few things. Hopefully a few things about cooking, a few things about different foods. And I really hope that you guys enjoy your dinner. Thanks everyone.
Thanks so much. Thanks for your questions, everybody.
Yes, thanks for your questions. Keep them coming. If you've got more, we've still got time. Otherwise, we'll sign off and let you guys enjoy your dinner.
And you'll like this comment too, Megan. Great work, Megan. There's a cooking show looking for you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. I hope you guys had fun tonight.